from the attic. You can check out my website, thehohoshow.com. You can follow me on Twitter. You can email me, hoho@thehohoshow.com. You can check out my YouTube channel and find me on Facebook. Telephone number, as always, 217-917-4405 if you want to call me part of the show. A proud member of Weaponized Law Productions, so welcome to the Ho-Ho Show, and as always, I am your host, Ho-Ho.
Oh, yeah. It's been fun. It really has been. Very, very cool.
Well, how are y'all's doing? So, let's see here. Welcome Twitch, welcome YouTube, welcome Facebook's Mixer and Periscope. How y'all's doing? Hope y'all's week is going pretty good. So, I'm going to go ahead and start diving right into this. You know, there's been, I don't really have a lot today. It's just kind of the same old stuff from, what's been going on in a matter of speaking for the past week, so, but it's really been funny with the, well, let's see. Yeah, it's been interesting. I hate when I do that. So yeah, it's definitely been interesting. So let's go ahead and really just dive right into it here. Let's see, where should I start? I'm thinking I'm going to go with the Teens of Parkland. Let's just go ahead and start with them guys. So they've been on the news, different posts, different things, and it's just, this is why I said that the future is here and it doesn't look very good for the Constitution, because this is the generation that's coming up. These are the ones whom are, they are lacking knowledge about history. They're lacking information and education in the Constitution. They're lacking information and education in civics and government and everything else. They have been lied to through the education system. And now these are the ones whom are taking a stand. I love it that, and I did this earlier, the whole, our parents don't, oh, how did that kid put it? Something about, the democracy, so it's up to us to do it. And it's like, just so you know, this is a republic, not a democracy. So it just shows how fundamentally flawed his ideas are about government. That the education system is lacking, and these are the ones whom are being brought up to be our next leaders. And that's a scary thing, So here's one of them. I'm just going to put this article out here just more or less as a, David Hogg contradicted himself on where he was the day of the shooting. And it's like, okay, the guy has been in the spotlight for quite a while. His mind's probably getting jumbled on, key things, whatever. That I'm not even worried about. But what actually cracks me up is, with some of the stuff that I've been reading, and, like one of them that they are so ticked off about, now that they are demanding, clear backpacks and different things of that nature. And it's an infringement of my my First Amendment right. And it's like, okay, wait a second. So you're mad that you feel that on a state school where, federally or state-owned, federally funded building, that you're going to complain that your privacy is being invaded, but yet at the same time you're wanting to take away my constitutional rights and infringe on my constitutional rights while you're crying about yours being infringed upon. And say, hey, you're the one who is crying about more security. When you cry about more security, you lose freedom. That's just the way it is. Hate to tell you, that's just the way that it is. So, that's just some of the things that has really, really been cracking me up on this. Because it really has. It's either laugh or cry. And it's been pretty sad recently with it. It really has been. So one of the other things in here that I was looking at Now, this article comes from the Daily Wire. Epic fail. Parkland student makes most false statement ever about the Second Amendment. And again, this is coming from people who just don't understand the history behind it. They don't understand government. They don't understand politics. They don't know, because their education is lacking in this. And it's because, the education system has failed them. And it has. The education system has failed these kids into thinking that government is something that it isn't. And so they have a very flawed understanding and a very skewed view of everything because of this. And I can't say as if I blame them, but at the same time, it's one of them things that you can only blame them for so long. There comes a point in time when you got to wake up and understand that, they have a cell phone. They can look it up if they really wanted to. They just don't want to, and I'll even dive into more of that a little bit later. So, but on Tuesday, a student in the high school, he made a tweet, and one of the things what he said, I'll go ahead and read his tweet. The First Amendment has restrictions. The Second Amendment has no restrictions. These weapons are not in the hands of well-regulated militias. The changes the people are demanding do not desecrate the Second Amendment. They just make it a safe addition to our Constitution. That makes no sense whatsoever. And a complete lie. Because here's one of the things that they're wanting to do. They are wanting to, claim that the Second Amendment was written in a time that, they couldn't have possibly foreseen, such things as semi-automatic weapons and fully automatic weapons and 3 and 4 round bursts and, grenades and flash bombs and rocket launchers and RPGs and Stinger missiles and all this other kind of crap. And it's like, so obviously that they meant muskets and things of that nature. And it's like, oh, well, it's awesome because, I think you're absolutely right, because they couldn't have possibly seen a world where you can communicate basically with the entire globe simultaneously using the interwebs, using TV and broadcast network and satellite radio and satellite TV, and they couldn't have foreseen, whenever it comes to, the freedom of, speech and the freedom of press, they couldn't have definitely foreseen emails and things of that nature where you can communicate with many, many people like that. They meant pen and quill. They meant couriers on horseback, they meant that. So, obviously, if you're wanting to restrict the Second Amendment the way that you are, they obviously you got to put the same type of restrictions on the First Amendment as well. But they don't. And obviously, they think that type of thought is asinine. I don't get it, But one of the things that this thing throws in here is, putting just a few of the regulations out here that are on the Second Amendment, one of them being the National Firearms Act of whatever year that it doesn't even say, the Arms Export Control Act of 1976, Gun Control Act of 1968, Firearms Owners Protection of 1986, the Brady Law, which was enacted in 1993. And there's dozens other of restrictions in here as well, but that's not even to talk about, that the mandatory background checks, the full auto ban, gun-free zones. You must be 18 to buy rifles. You got to be 21 to buy handguns. Felons cannot own a gun. You can't fly with them. You can't mail them. Confiscation is allowed under certain circumstances. You can't have barrels past a certain length. You can't have magazines that take so many bullets. You have bullet restrictions and restriction of how old them bullets can be. They put all kinds of regulations on it. And he's crying about his First Amendment, even though the Constitution clearly says shall not be infringed. Obviously, they lack understanding. They lack education. Clearly, I mean, absolutely. Clearly. And the funny thing is, I mean, the absolute funny thing is, let me go ahead and kind of, let me look for this one. Yep, I got that one. Nope, I don't see it. I must not have put that in here. So, but yeah, that's just one of them things, an aspect of that just cracked me up, you know. Their lack of knowledge, their lack of understanding, a complete failure of the education system because the government doesn't want them to know, because they're wanting a generation basically of, and I hate to word it like this, I hate to say it like this, but they're wanting a generation of fools so that this way they can control them. They can raise them and bring them up how they want them to be. Because let's just say foolish people are way easier to control than a generation of people who actually know something. You know, it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break right here. And when I return, I'm actually going to go into something that Piers Morgan has said. I'm going to get into the Million Man March, or the March for Our Lives Million Man March. Wow. And just a couple things about the anti-gun liberals out there that is very entertaining. I'm going to bring up Switzerland again. I'm going to bring up Australia again. So, yeah. So, yeah, a few minutes. I'll be right back.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm back.
Anywhere on a mission of that kind without telling them that if somebody shoots at them, they can darn well shoot back.
And welcome back to the Ho Ho Show. Good times, and welcome Facebookers, by the way, and Mr. Vacker joined as well. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Is everything looking all right on that end? Let me know. I got the chats open, chat windows and everything else. Good time. So, yeah. As I said before I went to break, I am going to go ahead and start this segment with talking about, Now, let's see. Should I start with Piers Morgan or should I start with gun-toting Switzerland? You know what? Let's just go ahead and start with Piers Morgan. He's a good guy. I like him. Yeah. Yeah, he leaves a weird taste in my mouth, maybe. Yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do Gun-Toting Switzerland. Let's start with them guys. So, as I mentioned on the last show, and this article comes from the Daily Wire. I'll even let you see it. There it is. The Daily Wire. Gun-Toting Switzerland has no mass shootings. Dadgummit. Sorry, I forgot to take that off. Gun-Toting Switzerland has no mass shootings. The article that I had, or not the article that I had read actually, but a point that I brought up, on the last show, was that you have Australia, 8.2 million population, and they have the nobody can carry a gun, complete gun ban, highest gun violence in the world, any country in the world. And then you have Switzerland, polar opposite, same population, except there it's a law that every single household has to have a gun. And they have a crime rate that is so low, it is statistically 0. That's awesome. So why don't we actually look at what's going on and formulate a plan that resembles other countries and what is working? Why don't we try that? Why do we always want to hop on the anti-gun bandwagon instead of actually going the common sense route? And speaking of the anti-gun bandwagon, now I'm going to go ahead and go into Pierce Brosnan. This article comes from The Wrap. Piers Morgan blasts holes in the NRA's enough laws. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did not read this article because here's what one of the facts of the matter is. Taking a look back at Facebook's. Okay, so here's what one of the facts of the matters is. I'm pretty willing to back this up about 10 years. But every single school shooting, every single mass shooting that has been done was basically done with maybe one exception. Well, yeah, we'll go with one exception. It was illegal already. Okay, it was somebody violating bringing a gun into a gun-free zone, somebody whom was already not supposed to own a firearm, have one in his possession, legally obtain one, but somewhere along the line, somebody dropped the ball somewhere, and was it, so that bears the question, was it a failure of a person, or was it a failure of the law? No, that's not what I mean. Was it a failure of the law, or was it a failure of, somebody not doing their stinking job? Not much, Dusk Knights. How are you doing? Welcome. So, but yeah, that's what the question is. Is it a failure of the law because somebody didn't do his job, or do we need more gun laws? If it's already illegal to take a gun into a gun-free zone, then you don't need another law that says, hey, don't take guns into a gun-free zone. You already have a law. It's redundant to make another one. You already have that. So, yeah, we don't need more laws on that. What we need, in a matter of speaking, what we need is stiffer penalties for those institutions that don't do what they are supposed to in reporting, like with the Air Force, not reporting somebody's activity on why he was discharged, so that this way he was able to get a firearm whenever he got out of the military. That was a failure of the Air Force. They should be held accountable for that, instead of the NRA and gun owners and, oh, woe is us, let's just ban all the guns. Even though you have the 9/11, it was like, hey, don't talk bad about and don't penalize an entire nation of people for the bad actions of a few. The NRA had nothing to do with any of these mass shootings. They didn't do it. And speaking of that, with the whole attacks on the NRA, it's like, holy crap, guys. I mean, do they not understand that the NRA isn't necessarily an organization funded by the government like Planned Parenthood is? It's, has their heart set on genocide. Don't they understand that this is an organization of American citizens that have nothing more in mind than to preserve a fundamental right that this nation was built on? I mean, yeah, did you guys forget, or did you even know, that the first battle of the Revolutionary War was, the British going, give us your weapons, and we said no. It was gun confiscation. That's what they tried to do to us. Put down your weapons. Moula leve. Not going to happen. So there you have it, It's not an error to a point where we need more laws. We need stricter penalties for those institutions that do not properly report and do not follow the law that allow these people to fall through the cracks. Yeah. Moving on from this guy. Let's see. Yeah. Let's do this one. And this is another thing that absolutely cracks me up too. Now, this article comes from the Daily Wire. Headline: Watch when March for Our Lives protesters are asked what an assault rifle actually is, and they have no idea. And this isn't even the first of such articles. There's another one in here too. This one from Town Hall. Anti-gun liberals devolve into a cacophony of nonsense as they can't explain what an assault rifle is. And this isn't another thing that cracks me up, because these terms, assault rifle, this, that, and the other, these are terms that were made up by basically anti-gunners, the liberal left, and it was thrown out there to be a ploy to categorize something in a way that they can ban it and get rid of it. Okay. And an assault rifle, I hate notifications. An assault rifle is a weapon, a military weapon that shoots fully automatic or 4-round bursts. That's what an assault rifle is. An AR-15 semi-automatic weapon is not an assault rifle. And I love it whenever they say that, the AR-15 is a military-grade weapon. It's like, no, it isn't. The AR-15 was made by a company called Armalite Rifle, and they made that, and then the military was like, dude, that's an amazing rifle. We want to use this. And then they got the rifle, and then they modified it to fit the military needs, and that's how you got the M4. M4A1 and the M16, I think, is basically same type of platform for their purposes, But yeah, it's not a military-grade weapon. It was originally made as a sporting rifle. Hello, do your history, Do your history. Research some stuff, find out some things. That's not even synthesization either. So yeah, it's flooring to me that you have people out there that are demonstrating against something that they can't even define themselves, and they don't even know what an assault rifle is. All they can say is it's something scary, And it was funny. One of these, the guy was like, oh yeah, we should ban knives. We should ban this, that, and the other. We should ban pistols. We should ban every damn thing. It's like, okay, man, you're obviously off your rocker. Go take a pill, lay down, chill out for a while. I mean, the people that... Well, this just brings me to another aspect of the argument. This, again, comes from the Daily Wire. Parkland student backs out of debate with pro-Second Amendment student citing personal attack. Yeah, whatever. Bottom line is, this anti-gun people, the only thing that they can do is cite a woe is me, don't kill kids, talking point type of an argument. That's it. When it comes to an open, honest, and civil debate, they can't win. They know that they can't win. That's why you have, this guy backing out of a debate because he knew he couldn't win. That's why you have, and I invite you, watch this video of the second one here that I put in here. Don't watch that video. But this one, the gun control marchers have no idea about guns. I mean, that sucker it was bad because they couldn't actually answer the question, and so they just yelled at him and attacked him because he's a pro Second Amendment person. Just attacking him. It had absolutely nothing to do with anything else. They didn't even know what they're arguing about. They didn't even know what they were fighting about. They couldn't answer the question. And so they blamed him for their own ignorance and just yelled at him because they couldn't win the debate. I don't want to. So yeah, that's what you got. Let's see here. Moving on. Yeah, that pretty well covers it on this segment. Kick ass. When I get back, I'm going to actually talk about Facebook, Google, and yeah, Facebook and Google. Good stuff. Facebook, they got caught doing something they shouldn't have done. And this was actually something that I talked about a while back ago in, I believe, the EU, I think. It was in Europe. And it was one of the things that, yeah, we kind of expected it over here, but, now it's pretty well definitely has come out that, yeah, they've been doing this for some time. And I believe they're even saying it goes back to 2014. Probably before that. That was just the first date that I had seen on it. So, yeah, couple minutes. Be right back.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll be back. I'm back.
Forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation going under.
All right, welcome back. And so, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and start this one off getting into Google. So, this headline comes out of CNN Money. Headline, Google loses Android battle and could owe Oracle billions of dollars. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't able to actually track down one of the things I was looking for in this, and that is basically the terms of use that Oracle has in their copyright for this. But basically, Google was using an open source, open source means by which to make their platform, okay? It's open source. That basically means that it's free, it's copyright free, it's license free, it's something that you do not pay for. That is the whole point and purpose in dealing with open source products. You know, I used to do a Linux operating system, Ubuntu, loved it. Had some restrictions because it was open source, which is why I was forced to go back to Windows, hated it. But, I mean, I had like thousands of dollars worth of programming on there, all open source, all free. I can modify it, change it, adjust it, do whatever I wanted to with it, put it back into the market, you know. It's open source. It is community owned. That's the whole thing of open source. Now, this can mean huge. I mean, this could have like huge kickbacks, not only for Google, but for other platforms as well. And that's an aspect of this that can really, really suck. So, I mean, it could mean that Google is going to have to completely redo their entire operating system on their phones. So, the next Android phone you get, it may not even, well, okay, it may be a while before the next Android phone even comes out. You know, next Android phone come out, and the next one that comes out, considering this legal battle and that they lost this appeal, it could definitely mean that the Android is going to completely be changed. That kind of sucks. Definitely sucks for Google. Definitely sucks for Android users. You know, those like me whom absolutely love it. You know, it's one of the fundamental differences between Google and Android. You know, if you like, you know, a simple user interface, if you're basically just doing a limited number of things on there with using your phone and whatnot, then Apple is right for you. If you're somebody that likes more freedom, if you like more customization, if you like to just have fun and change your operating system to suit you and your personality and what you want, Android is the one for you. So that's just fundamental differences between the two. And this could mean huge, big changes for Android and Google in general. You know, I am definitely not, I pity them. I definitely pity them. So, yeah. Next article, this sucker comes from, well, there's like 3 different ones right here. One of them from ZDNet. The other one is from, let me see if I can get into this one. This one is from TC. There's another article in here as well from BuzzFeed News. And yeah, that's actually all of them that I'm seeing here. Yeah, that's all I'm seeing here. And the first one that I seen on this one was, well, let's see, where was the first one? Yeah, here it was. No, this one was it. Yeah, here we go. I found it. ZDNet was actually the first one that I was looking at. Headline, Facebook was tracking your text message and phone call data. Now what? So, if you guys are looking at, you know, the agreement that you guys got to do, that thing pretty well puts in there that, yes, you are the commodity for Facebook. That's why it is free. Even though, you know, the stupid thing costs a lot of money for doing what they're doing. I hate that. You're the commodity. You're the one that's getting sold. You know, your information getting sold to marketers, you know. So your personal information, your shopping, your whatever, that should be no news that, yes, they were looking at that from the get-go. But I guess what they were surprised about is that, you know, they were also tracking, you know, who you're texting, who you're calling, how often you're doing it, and that kind of stuff as well. There wasn't any information in here as to say that whether they were looking at your text messages and listening to your phone calls, just whom it was going to and the frequency and the times and aspects like that, you know. So, I mean, they weren't saying that they were actually looking at your messaging and listening to your calls, but they still have access to that information, and that is in there. Now, one of the articles that I have, and apparently it wasn't this one, it was another one. Well, no, let's go ahead and do, let me look at this one. There's an article that I'm actually kind of wanting to definitely throw in there, but I want to do that one actually last. So, okay, so this one isn't it. So let me go ahead and, what happened? Okay, here we go. All right, so this next one came from TC. Facebook data misuses scandal affects substantially more than 50 million, claims Willie. Apparently there was a whistleblower involved in this, and he's the one whom, released a lot of data. He stood before Congress and let them know what was going on. And the number is way more than 50 million as far as people whom were affected by, personal information being used for, one of the things that they were saying it was used for was for campaigning, different things of that nature. I mean, it's actually a pretty broad scope on what they were using this personal information for. And one of the other articles that I read from BuzzFeed, holy crap, I can speak, I really can. Headline, FTC is investigating Facebook over Cambridge Analytica. I can read. Now, one of these articles, and I'm pretty sure it is in this one, actually. Let me scroll down to it. No, it is not. Holy crap, I hate it. I really do. But it actually even puts in here, and this is one of the things that I like about, the newer Android, excuse me, is that you can, with the individual settings, before, you had to accept every single permission as a bundle. You couldn't, it was either accept it or deny it. You accept one, you accept all. You can't just, unless you had a rooted phone, you couldn't just limit one permission and keep all the others. It was a one or none. And that was it. That was your limitation. But with the new Android operating system, you can go in there and you can individually, block a permission, from an app to do something. So if you don't want your Facebook app to access your contacts list and phone and camera and microphone, you can shut it off, and it can't do that on its own. Now, here's the thing, though, too. Now, I've done this. I've tested it out. I've used it like this. So I know for a fact that if you are wanting to go in there and make a call, you can still do it. It's not like the camera can't do it. The camera can't do it without your knowledge. So if you're telling it to do it, yes, it can still use your camera if you're doing a video call. It can still use your contacts list if you're wanting to link something to it. It can still do that, but it can't do it without your knowledge. And that's the thing with the permissions. The permissions allows it to do it without your knowledge in the background, just all willy-nilly whenever it wanted to. So you can turn those individual things off, and that's one of the things that I had already did. And one of these articles that I have, it actually gives you step-by-step on how to do it. Actually, I think it is this one. Yeah, it is. It's this one. It's the first one that I looked at. It is the, well, I'll just go ahead and show you. Yeah, this one right here, it gives you step-by-step even on how to, get rid of those. Like, as you can see right here in this area, it tells you Facebook, your permissions, you go in the settings, do this, do that, and the other. And if this is something that does concern you, as far as your privacy settings goes, I recommend going in there, looking at the permissions that it has, and shutting those off if it's something that you do not want it to do. Definitely do that. You have full control of your phone. For the last operating system, maybe even the one before that, it gives you a lot more control on what you can do, on the different things that an app can, the permissions. So utilize that extra freedom and limit those apps if you are concerned about privacy and you don't want these things to, these different companies to access your information, because all they do is just sell it, keep it, use it for polling information and data information and this, that, and the other, so take control of your phone, guys. take control of your phone. All right, moving on. And actually, where was that last one? No, I'll touch it base on that one later. Yeah, actually, I think that pretty well covers it for this segment. Facebook and Android was the only two things that I had in here. So I got one more segment to do, and of which case I'm going to be talking about something kind of fun. I'm going to be going techie on you guys. Are we quantum computers? Interesting question. Interesting concept. I just thought it was neat. I'm actually going to be talking movie stuff in here and, you know, science fiction stuff coming up just in a few minutes.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I'm back. Oh my God, who the hell cares?
All right, and welcome back. Last segment of the show. Now I am getting into a little bit more techie stuff and just conceptual, futuristic stuff that, you know what, it could actually happen with where we're advancing technology and what we got going on in the realm of computers. It's exciting, it's awesome, it's just wow stuff. I kid you not, I'm excited about it. But before I get into that, I'm wanting to touch base on something else. This article actually comes from Inverse Science, and I am bringing up one more time the space station is going to be crashing to Earth. I do have an updated time frame, of which case they are expecting it to basically crash. Now, this is just more or less a rough guesstimation. And this is a rough guesstimation because they don't know how long it's going to actually take for the China space station to re-enter. And more or less the reason behind that was it's like as it goes and as it touches the atmosphere, it could bounce a few times before it actually starts to re-enter, which makes its possible landing location or crash location and time frame a little bit hard to predict. And that's more or less what it amounts to. Much like, throwing a rock on the water, skipping it, splash. That was their reason behind it. So they're looking that it is going to be hitting somewhere between like April 2nd and I think April 7th or 8th, right around in that time frame. They think that most of it is probably going to wind up in the ocean, but if any does actually crash on land, it will be hitting Spain, Portugal, France, that general vicinity is what they're more or less predicting. So, and of course, they also are saying that you don't really want to be around the crash site, considering some of the chemicals that were used as fuel could be very, very bad, toxic, horrible, radioactive, whatever stuff. I don't even know, but it's bad. So they said stay away from it if you're around it. So it shouldn't affect us. So that's pretty cool. That's at least good that it ain't going to affect us. So getting into the area of what I was wanting to talk about. Now, this is cool, and of course, it isn't wanting to load up right now. Let me go ahead and try it again. And again, it isn't wanting to load up for me. Well, that just sucks. Let's try it again. Block. And back up. Oh, of course. This page cannot be reached. Sweet. Well. Reload. And reload. I love computers. Really, I do. Well, you know what? I was going to do this one. I was going to wing it. This comes from news.ucsb.edu. Let me see if it'll load again. That's not loading. But the headline of the article is, "Are we quantum computers?" Which I thought an intriguing of a question. With the advancements that they're making in quantum computing and with just in computing in general, it's one of them things that, they're more or less raising the question of, are we basically a really high-tech type of computer with what our brains are capable of doing and the type of computing it does, and the thing that I find very intriguing about this, and this is one of the things, going back into, the sci-fi world, as far as with, being able to transfer one's consciousness into a machine like the movie Chappie, and, with other movies that are out there with doing the same type of thing, it's like if we get into the realm of, quantum computing, is that going to be something that we can definitely do? Completely preserve one's consciousness before they die. Because it is one of them things that has been scientifically proven that the memory centers of your brain is the last one to die. And once your heart actually stops, your brain will continue working for an additional 10 minutes, preserving, in a matter of speaking, your consciousness. Your memories, your, who you are and whatnot. So, I mean, that's just one of them things that's like, holy cow, have we actually entered, or at least are we close, like really, really close to a point in computer technology where these type of science fiction movies are going to become science fact. And that is just wow to me. I mean, I never would have thought I would have lived in an age where something like that is even possible. Actually being able to transfer one's consciousness into a computer, into a machine, even into a, dare I say it, a robot, a surrogate robot, if you will, almost making it to where we can live forever within machinery. That's just, You know, I'm not even going to go into the moral implications of this and, you know, the religious implications of it. But I mean, it's just overall, just looking at it just on a, you know, political, or not political, but just a scientific standpoint. I mean, it really is a really neat era that we're living in with this type of stuff. I mean, it's just really neat, you know. See if I can get into it again. You know, I got into it earlier, but for some reason, this magazine is just, or this article is just not wanting me to get into it and open it up. But I read through it, you know, I mean, there wasn't really a whole heck of a lot in here that I really understood. And, you know, I mean, let's face it, I don't know anything about quantum computing, you know, doing, you know, light computing and all the other kind of crap. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not that smart. But it's just neat that we've gotten into a place to where, you know, computer science, quantum computing, things of that nature is actually becoming a reality, to the point to where science fiction is becoming science fiction. I mean, there's a lot of movies out there that, you know, basically talk about this type of thing. And it's just, it's wow. It's just really, really cool. And of course, he has not let me get into it, so I can't even get into the article. This sucks. Yeah, well. Oh, well. Whatever. Well, guys, that pretty well concludes the show. So I thank you all for watching. If you guys, you know, liked what you've seen, don't forget to give me the thumbs up. And so go ahead and subscribe, and you can get notifications on any time I go live and any other videos that I would post. So, you guys have yourself a wonderful evening. Thank you for tuning in. So that does it. You guys have a great one. Oh, nope, I ain't doing that. All right. You guys have a great one. Bye.